Hey everyone, it's Matt Bloomfield at Wycombe Wanderers and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Good evening and welcome to episode 3, series 3 of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. No Colin this week, he failed his pre-match fitness test and failed. So it is Luke here with you until 7 o'clock. We have a very busy show coming up tonight, including our new reporter Craig Anderson talks to Gareth, Ainsworth and Daryl Horgan at this morning's press session. The very exciting news that Alfie Mawson is back. Hear his chat with the press from this morning's press session as well. We'll be joined later on by Wycombe Wanderers Trust Chairman Nigel Kingston. We'll talk about the club, the Trust and the Wycombe Wanderers Women as well, which links very nicely to talking to the Vice-Captain of Wycombe Wanderers Women, Cara Howes. She was talking to Luke Hashman earlier in the week. You'll hear that before the end of the show. And we'll talk to international fan Chelo as well. He spent a week with the club. He's seen Wycombe play in person for the first time. It was the Bolton game, but luckily he saw them win on Tuesday. But first, as it is very hot outside, I'm joined by Phil Catchpole from Adams Park Stadium, because I'm guessing it's far too warm in the offices.
Yeah, I'm sat out in the press box and overlooking this pristine pitch, which just seems to get better every time I look at it. It's been cut into like a checkerboard, so it looks like you could play a massive game of chess on it.
How are the groundskeepers coping with the warm weather?
Well, you know, the heat is good for the grass growth, apparently. I think you've obviously got to keep it watered. That's the challenge at the moment, because obviously it's so hot. But, the sun and the heat is good for grass growth. But, yeah, it's all about getting the water on. So those sprinklers have been on quite a bit, I think. I
can imagine. Before we talk about last Saturday and Tuesday, let's start with the very exciting news that Alfie Mawson is back.
He is, yeah. Unveiled today to great fanfare at Adams Park and fantastic reaction from the Wycombe fans as well. I think most of them have been replying to anything the club have put out on social media with announce Mawson. Well, they have, and it's great news and really good to sit down and chat with Alfie earlier as well. And he hasn't changed a bit. I mean, I remember doing his first ever interview in that season. He came on loan from Brentford. Very laid back character. Fantastic professional, great player, obviously. But yeah, seems to take everything in his stride, and he was genuinely delighted to be back. You could see it. He says it feels like a family at Wycombe, and the option was there, and he said it felt like coming home, and for a player that was never owned by Wycombe Wanderers is a huge statement, and it just shows you the pulling power of Wycombe Wanderers and the staff there that have enabled not just Alfie to come back. There's several other players you could add to that list of people who returned to Adams Park.
Yeah, scored 7 times in his 51 appearances when he was here in the 2014-15 season, and we'll hear from him a little bit later on. And as you said, by the sounds of it, he has been keeping a very close contact with Gareth and Matt Bloomfield as well.
Yeah, he's kept in touch with them, and I know that I've seen his mum coming down there in buying tickets around the playoffs and stuff like that. They don't live that far away, so I think it's just been that sort of club where people keep in touch, and when things pan out like they have, that it's fallen nicely for Wycombe Wanderers. And the other really great thing, and you'll hear this in the interview as well, is that in terms of stepping up in terms of a leadership role, he's only 28 still, which is difficult to keep remembering that, because he's in his prime as a player, but he's been in the top flight. He's played a lot of Premier League games, a lot in the Championship. So for the likes of Chris Farino and Jack Waitley to have someone like Alfie Mawson alongside them in the changing room, at the training ground, on the pitch, is going to be huge.
Yeah, a brilliant signing. Well, then let's talk about the games, and let's start with Saturday. After the first game of the season, winning 3-0, I don't think anyone was expecting a 3-0 loss.
This football, isn't it? At this stage of the season, it's very difficult to understand who's the form horse, who's doing what, with business and stuff still being done in and around the place. I think Bolton are going to be challenging up there. Looking at the form we spoke about is going into the game, they finished like a steam train last season, winning 14 out of the last 22 games. I think they were second in the form table from January to the end of the season, so there was always going to be tough. First home game of the season as well, big crowd. and they played some really good football. I think Gareth immediately after the game, didn't he, held up his hands and said, look, I've set up wrong. They were very open, and credit to Bolton, they took the chances, because Wycombe also had chances in that first half, but crucially didn't take them, because I think if they equalise at 1-1 or get a goal back early in the second half at 2-1, then obviously it's a different game. But they didn't do that, and that third goal in the second half was absolutely killer, because Wycombe were on top, but they were having to start to overcommit because they hadn't made the breakthrough, left the gaps, and were punished by a ruthlessly efficient Bolton team who I was very impressed with on the day. So look, it's difficult after 2 games in the league. You don't really get a flavour of the table and who's who until about 10 games in. But Gareth Ainsworth will certainly be looking at that as a bit of a benchmark for where they want to be this season. Yeah,
you mentioned about Gareth, holding his hands up and saying it was his fault. We hear from Daryl Horgan later on, who also said the same thing. And I think that's the great thing about the club is, they all individually take the blame for it if, they are a team, and that's what they do. We see from other clubs that fall out mid-season, but with Wycombe, it's, we're in this together.
Absolutely, and it's quite unusual for managers to come out and almost take the rap immediately after the game. Gareth is always incredibly calm after matches, even though we spoke it was quite just a few minutes after the final whistle really, but very calm, and he's calm in victory as he is in defeat. So there's never any overreactions or knee-jerk reactions. There's never hanging any dirty laundry out in public if he wants to chastise a player, which I'm sure he will have to do and has done in the past, and will do in the future, no doubt, but that's done behind closed doors, and I think that's why the respect level is there between the staff and the players at Wycombe Wanderers. But yeah, I mean, he held his hands up to it and said, look, that's on me, and we'll see what happens this week, because it's a very different game back at Adams Park, and another tactical test.
Before we talk about Tuesday's game, here is the goals from the game.
Good evening from Sixfield. You're listening to Wanderers TV and Wycombe Sound 106.6 FM in the High Wycombe area with me, Phil Catchpole, and this evening we're joined on co-coms by former Wycombe Wanderers player and former cobbler Scott McLeish. First round of the League Cup, Wycombe Wanderers taking on Northampton in League 2. Jacobson, it's just about 23 yards from goal, just to the right of centre. Suits a left footer, and Jacobson dinks it over the wall and scores! Joe Jacobson, the set-piece master, does it again. 9th season at Wycombe Wanderers. He's like a fine wine, and against the Clarets, he's done it again. Wycombe 1-0 up here at Sixfield. Here's DeBar, little back heel to Mellor. Mellor's through and goal, and scores! Wycombe have doubled their lead. Flag stays down, incisive through the middle. Lovely little back heel from DeBar, and Mellor scampers through the middle for his first goal for the Chairboys, beating Maxted with ease. And Wycombe Wanderers 2 goals to the lead here at Sixfield. Well, goal from Northampton now makes it very interesting as Guthrie strides forwards. Mellor puts him under pressure. They go into Mitch Pinnock. Pattendon with a loose clearance there. It's a parry's in, and it's side down, and that is a penalty.
Looks like Joe Jacobson's come sliding in.
Yeah, Jacobson on a parry. Initial mistake from Pattendon has let a parry in, and Jacobson has slid in.
Be interesting to see who takes it. It looks like a parry wants the ball, but you've got Danny Hilton on there. Pinnock, I think he took them last year. Tyler will be confident on penalties.
Tyler Dickinson in goal, and it goes down the wrong way, and the parry puts it to the left of Tyler Dickinson. The right, as we look at it, Dickinson went the other way. And it's game on here at Sixfield. Northampton Town 1, Wycombe Wanderers 2. Louis Apare from the penalty spot. Game over. Full-time whistle here. Goals from Joe Jacobson and Demani Mellor in the first half. Northampton fought back in the second. A triple sub gave them some momentum. They won a penalty after a foul by Joe Jacobson on Louis Apare, who then scored the penalty past Tyler Dickinson. But Wycombe Wanderers, they saw that out with some class tonight.
Now, Phil, I will point out that in that you did say it would be really interesting now if Northampton scored and then there was a penalty. So I'm not saying it's your fault, but, possibly is.
Well, you could see the pattern of the game. I think Northampton made 7 changes going into the game from their league game, but looking at their bench, they had their big hitters, Pinnock and Hilton being 2 of them, and I think McWilliams. They made the triple sub, and all of a sudden they look very strong in terms of their starting, what you would call their starting league 11. So you could see how that could possibly make an impact, and they did make almost an instant impact. So yeah, I did sort of almost call that upon ourselves there. But what I am saying is I don't have the lottery numbers for this Saturday, Luke.
That was my next question, so I won't ask you that. But for Wycombe, though, a great game. 10 changes for the Chairboys, a very young side that performed really well.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic evening for the club, because just 8 players from the starting 11, 22 years old or younger, shows you a huge evolution in where this club is at. It wasn't that many years ago that Gareth Ainsworth was playing in the Football League Trophy at the age of 43, coming off the bench, and only having 3 or 4 players named on the subs bench. We can't do that anymore. Obviously, there's you can use 5 in a game now, but Wycombe have got a deep squad. But senior debuts for the likes of Jasper Pattenden, Damani Mellor. He did play in the league game, but his first senior goal, Damani Mellor. Jack Waitley getting minutes as well. Tyler Dickinson continuing goal and having a good game. Really good news, I think, for the club as a whole, because it just shows you that they've been trusted with the opportunity to get Wycombe through in one of the major competitions, and they've done so, and got into the draw for round 2, and they've been rewarded with a home tie now against Bristol City, and I'd imagine that there'll be rotation in that game as well, because although there will be the prize of a 3rd round draw when the Premier League big boys enter, I think it's an opportunity for those young players to continue, and they can now test themselves against the Championship side. Yeah,
that 2nd round game on Wednesday the 24th of August, kick-off at 7:45 at Adams Park. We talked about the younger players on Tuesday, but Nick Freeman as well, obviously back after a really long time injury with a couple of close chances for him.
Yeah, I thought he'd scored. I really did. In near the end of the game, he benefited from some excellent pressing from Damani Mellor, and his shot deflected off a defender off the inside of the post, so he's inches away from getting his first goal of the season. But Scott McLeish, our co-coms on the night, gave Nick the man of the match, and deservedly so as well. He used class really from first minute to the last. Every time he got the ball, he was in a tight situation, often with 2-3 players around him, as is often the case in central midfield. But he just looked like he had a lot more time on the ball than anybody else in there, and that's a real sign of a key quality player. But it is just brilliant to see how well he's recovered from that long-term injury, how he's attacked pre-season, how he's played his way into the plans of the management team after being out for so long, and it's wonderful to see, and he's certainly staked a claim for this Saturday, I would say. Yeah, and
I know we mentioned this season as well when his extension to his contract, but credit to the club as well for keeping him on there with that long-term injury, and that paying off now.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that was a really canny bit of business by the club, because you don't know with these injuries. You don't know if how well the operation will go, how well the rehab will go. Then there's the mental impacts of the injury. I mean, Nick has passed all of these hurdles with flying colours so far, which is fantastic news. But it also sends out a good message to the players at the club. It sends out a good message to the game in general, that this is a club that looks after their players. They have a duty of care. They didn't have to give him that contract extension. They could have said, you know what, you've been here since 2016. This injury's come at a time in your contract cycle. We won't be renewing. And then there's a real moment where he then has to go through his rehab with the question mark of not having a club, not having that structure to go through that rehab with. And I think it's been a really good move by the club. It's paid off in spades now, because Nick is out there doing the stuff on the pitch as well. But like I say, professionals at the club, professionals around the game, and agents and other players would have seen that, and they'd have taken a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, definitely. Let's look ahead then to Saturday's game. It's going to be a hot one off the pitch, but on the pitch against Shrewsbury. Your thoughts going ahead to Saturday?
Well, it's going to be tough, because Steve Cottrell, the manager of Shrewsbury, is renowned to have a highly competitive team. They're normally built on really solid defences. We've only got to cast our mind back to that poor run that Wycombe had in February last season. It was a 0-0 here on a Tuesday night. Wycombe, I think, had something like 26 shots, and it was a 0-0 game. But they defended like their lives depended on it that night, Shrewsbury, and didn't offer a huge amount going forwards. They've recruited well in the window. I think Shay Dunkley at the back is a really good signing. He can pop up with a goal as well from centre back. So I think it will be very much the onus on the Wycombe front 5, so to speak, to find a way through. First goal is massive, because if Wycombe get it, then Shrewsbury then have to step out a bit, may well leave some other gaps, a bit like Wycombe had to do away at Bolton. If Shrewsbury nick one, then they will be incredibly tough to break down. And Steve Cottrell, they kind of almost play in his image a bit. He's gruff, he's spiky, You'd imagine that he lets his players know when he's not happy with them. I've certainly seen him take a few journalists to task after games in the past.
Not you though, obviously.
Fortunately, I've not had to interview him, but yeah, I'd imagine he's quite a gruff character to deal with if you're not delivering. But he's been around the game for a long time. He's got a great track record, and it's going to be tough on Saturday. I think the heat will definitely play a part, but it's the same for both teams. There will be drinks breaks, and obviously they can be doubled up and get tactical information into the teams as well. But it goes with a lot of these games, especially in League One. I think the first 10-15 minutes are absolutely vital. Wycombe do tend to start quickly at home. If they can get that first goal, then I would expect them to go on and take the 3 points. But this is a tough division. We're in the early stages. We're still seeing where people are at, but I think either way it's going to be a great game.
And how do you think Wycombe are going to line up after obviously 10 changes on Tuesday? Obviously we're going to see some more of the senior players on Saturday, but do you think we'll see any of the younger players starting?
Well, it's tough to predict now because the squad is deep. There's quality in and cover in nearly every position now. Chris Farino had a really good 45 minutes in the first half against Northampton Town. I think that was a pre-made decision. Get 45 minutes under your belt and then we'll take you off at half time just to kind of ease him back in after his disrupted pre-season. But I thought he played really, really well. Alfie Mawson's back now. Is he match sharp? We don't know. Is he ready for competitive action just yet? We don't know. So there's decisions to be made. Midfield is a tough one as well because, like I say, Nick Freeman I thought was excellent. You've got Lewis Wing now who's looking fit again after another disrupted pre-season, but he's a real quality player. You've got Dominic Gabe, Josh Scowen in there. Who'd be a football manager, Luke, because only 11 can start, and Gareth Ainsworth has got to pick those, but he's got to get it right this time and get the 3 points.
Yeah, something that Gareth's not been overly used to. A couple of seasons ago, we talked about this on Tuesday. They didn't have the people that he could move around. This time he has got lots of players that he can pick from, again from the development squad as well. Yeah,
well, this is a different angle to management now because in the past when he had a small squad, you could almost say it made it a bit easier because he knew who his best 11 was, his best system, because the options were very, very limited, whereas now there's a lot of options there and it enables him to develop tactically, which he is doing. They're always learning, he's always saying that, but it means there's more decisions to be made, which is great. It means he can develop, the club can develop, but yeah, he has to evolve as a manager, and I think he's been doing that in this respect in just over the last sort of 12-14 months now, because he's had a lot more in terms of resource and people to look after, and then there's the personal side of it as well, because he has to keep the players happy.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be joining us on Saturday for commentary from 3, team news from 2. Hopefully you've got lots of drink with you. But saying that, the press box is fairly shaded. Yeah,
we're undercover here, I'm pleased to say. But yeah, it's going to be warm. I'm just glad I'm not running around on Saturday, that's all I'm saying.
No, I hope the shop has got lots of hats in as well, because I think there might be a lot of them being brought.
Absolutely, yeah. Get down here early as well and enjoy the beer tent and everything else, and the terrace is in the shade as well.
Thank you to Phil for this week's match debrief. More of that next week. Now, as you may have seen on Wanderers TV or social media, international Chairboys fan Chelo saw his first in-person Chairboys game last Saturday. He did see them win on Tuesday as well. He also got to talk to TJ DeBar as well.
Juego de Copa el martes por la noche siempre son muy complicados. El equipo se va adelante 2-0. Luego el 2-1, pero al final se logra lo importante que es el pase a la segunda ronda. ¿Cuáles son ahorita tus emociones?
Pues la verdad que, como tú dices, partido de Copa en un martes siempre va a ser difícil.
Which we'll talk to him about in a few moments' time, because I caught up with him earlier today to find out how he first found the Chairboys.
Well, the short version of this incredible tale for me was basically I started to unattach from the Premier League, big commercial clubs, and I was looking for a team to support, to engage myself again with English football, with the core values of football, of family, tradition, all these important committed values that are vital for this sport. And basically I just stumbled upon this magnificent club, and it's all been evolving from there around maybe 2018, 2017 approximately, and now I'm here and I'm enjoying every second. I
was going to say you've had a great week. Obviously, maybe not the win on Saturday, but you saw them playing on Tuesday as well.
Yeah.
Your first games for actually watching the boys in person. How was that for you?
Nah, mate, it was unbelievable. It was the best experience of my lifetime, and I mean it was unreal. It was amazing, and I just can't wait to be here on for the league game, and then onto the next one, and practically all other games I can attend. And this is my club now, and I will keep tabs on it from now on.
And you got to talk to TJ afterwards as well, interviewing him. How was that for you?
Yeah, no, it was a great experience here. All the people from the media team, Matt, Phil, they are amazing people. I mean, it's just unreal to be here. That's the basic word. I mean, it's unbelievable, and it was great to interview him in our first tongue. So it was great to be out there on the pitch side. Made unbelievable experience for me, and it was just surreal. And
what are your thoughts ahead of Saturday's game? First game at Adams Park for you as well.
Yeah, so it should be quite exciting for me and all the fans. Adams Park on the sunlight will maybe a bit warm that day. But I mean it's a perfect opportunity to bounce back after the Bolton game that was not as expected. Was the Tuesday win on the cup, like really show the core of the squad, the young players just stepping up to the situation, and this Saturday it's a perfect opportunity to keep on this good form, and then there's two difficult away games in Exeter and Barnsley, so it will be amazing to go to this to those two next games after a win.
Big thank you to Chelo for talking to me earlier on. If you were wondering what that loud bang was halfway through the interview, that was the bird removal system. It's a very loud noise that goes off at Adams Park to get the birds off the pitch, so no one was attacking Phil, don't worry. Coming up next on the Wycombe Wanderers Show for this week, we'll be talking to Wycombe Wanderers Trust Chairman Nigel Kingston. All that coming up next.
Online, on Radio Player and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
It is the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Without Colin, as I mentioned earlier, he failed his pre-match fitness test and sadly can't be with us tonight. He'll hopefully be back with us next week. Now, though, let's talk to the Trust Chairman, Nigel Kingston. How are you, Nigel, this evening? All good?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Just managing to keep cool.
That was going to be my question. How are you doing with the heat?
Yeah, coping well with it.
Good.
Not too much of a problem. As long as it doesn't get into the mid-30s, then it gets a bit too much.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's start off talking about the exciting news from this afternoon, that Alfie Mawson is a chairboy once again.
Absolutely fantastic. Everybody loved Alfie Mawson when he was at the club before, and I think his return to the club is going to be welcomed by everybody. And I think it's a statement really from the club about how committed they are to getting this team up to the top of the league and into the championship.
Yeah, and we'll hear from Alfie a little bit later on the show. And he said that he's kept in contact with Matt Bloomfield and with Gareth as well. And he's one of many players that have come back to Wycombe Wanderers for a second term. And I think that just shows you that's all you need to know really about the club and how supportive of it is, of the family and the community feel it has.
No, it's absolutely right. It is. When you look back over the last few years, you see, as you say, a number of players coming back. they like the club, they like the atmosphere, they like the managers, they like the coaches, and they're delighted to come back and to stay with us. So yeah, it's all good news, is that? Yeah,
very, very good news. And I said we'll hear from Alfie a little bit later on. Now, as I mentioned, you are trust chairman, and I don't think I know this as well. I don't think I've actually ever asked you this on a Saturday as well. But what's your background with the club? How did you first, become a Chairboys fan?
Oh gosh, that goes back a long way. We were still at Lokes Park at the time, and I started going to Lokes Park, wanted to support a local team, and that was in the late 80s. And it just carried on from there. Loved it, and never stopped.
And you've been a member of the trust board since 2015?
Been a member of the trust for a long, long time, and chairman of it for coming up for 2.5 years, I think it is now.
Yeah, and there's been lots of changes since then. Obviously, with the Kuhigs coming in as well. You must have seen so much change.
Yeah, a lot of change. I mean, the trust, owned the club completely from 2012 and rescued it. Ran it for 8 years, which was very difficult financially, but we made sure it survived, and that's the key thing, because one of the trust's aims is to be a long-term guardian of the football club, so that it's there not just for us, but for our children and our grandchildren to keep going. And we all know in football, owners come and go. I mean, hopefully the Kuhigs are here for a long time, but at some point there might be new owners, but the trust will still be there, safeguarding the future of the football club.
And we've spoken to Rob a few times this season and last season, and obviously the big thing that has come up is wanting to make improvements around the stadium, and the one that everyone always talks about is an access road. I know you can't say a lot about it, but what can you tell us?
There's a lot of work going on about the access road from the upper car park, or to and from the upper car park. A lot of meetings happening, both with Edward Dashwood and the planning people, and fingers crossed at some point in the non too distant future that will become a reality. But at the minute, everybody's working hard to see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, I think everyone, if you've been to Adams Park over the last seasons, I've seen so much change at the ground. Is there what else other than the access to it, or other things that the trust have got in mind looking forward over this season and into the future?
Well, we're working very closely with Rob Kuhig and the Football Club Board, looking at the future development of the stadium. Rob's very keen to make this a championship club, both in terms of the playing side, but also in terms of the facilities. He's got a very clear vision of what he wants to do in terms of improving the stadium, improving stands, potentially looking at adding to the stands and adding to the capacity. And we're working very closely with him because we think that's a great way to go. Hopefully, again, in the not too distant future, there'll be able to be some detailed announcements about what Rob is planning.
Another thing that's launched a couple of years ago and has grown in massive success is the Disabled Supporters Association. Last year, Phil and the Trust launched the radio headsets, which have been going really well. But again, the Disabled Supporters Association also going strength to strength.
Yeah, it is going from strength to strength. As you say, it's been running for well over a year now. We've done recently a second walk round the stadium with the Disabled Supporters Association, so they can look at the things that have improved, but also make another list of the things that still need to improve. The second one was done about 2 weeks ago. We're working closely with them, as is the club, to make those improvements. And one of the areas that they're looking at is Box 1, and making Box 1, outside Box 1, an area for disabled supporters to sit so that they don't get dripped on by the roof of the Frank Adams stand. And also the inside of Box 1, a sort of a sensory room so that people who either have autism or are worried about large crowds can be in a more secluded area. So the three of us are working very closely on that, the club, the DSA and the trust.
And for fans possibly that haven't heard of the DSA before, how can people get involved with that?
Very, very simple. Just go on to the trust website and or the club website, and you'll be able to pick up the address to get in touch with them.
Let's talk about the club, because Rob has mentioned his aims of straight to automatics for Championship. I don't think he wants to go through the playoffs again like last season, although Missy apparently enjoyed them. But I think that is the aim for Gareth as well, is to, he's got his target that he set himself, is I think the same as last year and a couple more points. But it must be great, for someone that's seen Wycombe Wanderers since the Loke Parts day to now see them going, possibly fighting up into the Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. It sort of has, it rings bells back into the 90s when Martin O'Neill was managing the club and moved us into the Football League and then moved us up the Football League. And that was a real exciting time. And I think we're back in that sort of situation again, where the club and the manager are really determined to try and get us into the Championship. And I'm with Rob. Although the playoffs can be quite exciting, I'd rather not bother.
No, I think there's a lot of people that would, even though a day out at Wembley is always nice, I think there's a lot of people that would just be happy with the automatics and going straight up into the Championship. And of course, for fans, there was only, I think there was a game with 1,000 fans and a game with 2,000 fans while we were in the Championship. And I know that is very much in everyone's back of the mind at the club, is to get fans to a Championship game that Wycombe is playing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was such a shame. The year that we made it, nobody, well, apart from a few, as you say, nobody could actually see us. And we, the fans, weren't able to go to all those other Championship grounds, which would have been a great experience. So, yeah, we got to make sure that we get there this time.
Yeah, definitely, and let's hope that's the way things are going to go as well. But I think we've seen, with the excitement over getting into the playoffs last year, but being in the Championship as well, season tickets for this year and tickets all round really are doing really, really well.
They are indeed. Yeah, I think season tickets are somewhere in the region of 15% up on where we were this time last year. And I think the monthly subscription model for season tickets has been a great success. So if you've not got £350 to shell out at one moment in time, you can do it via subscription and even those payments out over the year at no extra cost. That's the great thing. The club's facilitating that coming on a no-cost basis, which is brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, also the sort of extended coverage of the Wycombe Wanderers content as well, with all the Wanderers TV stuff. I think, especially over the summer, that kept everyone, even though it was a very short summer for Chairboy's fans with the playoffs, I think that kept everyone energised and ready for the new season. Yeah,
no, that's absolutely right. And I think one person who's really helping in that regard is Phil Catchpole. I know you talk to Phil quite a lot, but, Phil's doing a great job with Matt Cecil in the media department of getting the message across to a lot more people, and Wycombe TV is a big help in that.
Yeah, and you're talking about going across to more people. We just heard from Chelo a few moments ago. The international coverage of Chairboys fans now has skyrocketed.
It has, and I can't even recall how many countries the worldwide phenomenon is in now, because it keeps growing all the time, so you lose track. But we've got fans all over the place. And I remember when, not long after Rob Couig first arrived, and he talked about the worldwide Wanderers, and I think there were a few people who thought, where's this guy coming from? But fair play to Rob, he's made it work, and as you say, we've got fans all over the globe, and they're not just sort of fans for now and then. It wasn't that many matches ago, end of last season, when we had 250 fans from Spain over for a match. So they're prepared to actually put an awful lot of effort in to come and support the team.
Yeah, and they were brilliant. I was there for that game, and they made one hell of a noise, and they did not want to leave either. They were very good. Another thing that Trust looks after as well, which people might not know, is the Wycombe Wanderers Women side as well. And you have, talking of season tickets, some news on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. For my sins, I'm chair of Wycombe Wanderers Women as well. Obviously, the women's team is affiliated to the football club, but the Trust looks after it. And yeah, there's some really exciting things going on there. Obviously, the success of the Lionesses in the Euros has given it a rocket boost. And we've got 3 teams in Wycombe Wanderers Women, just in case people don't know. The first team who play in the Women's Southern League, the reserves play in the Thames Valley League, and the under-18s play in the JPL, which is the Junior Premier League. So we've got 3 teams. We have found ourselves a new home ground this year, which is at Burnham Football Club. So all our home matches and all our training is going to be done at Burnham, and that's a great facility. They've got a 1-year-old 3G pitch. They've got stands where people can sit. There's a bar, there's tea and coffee, there's all the usual football food. So it's a really good facility for us. And recently we've hired a new head coach, Carl Simon. I think you've talked to Carl.
Yeah, he was great
recently. And Carl's an absolute bundle of energy, full of enthusiasm, and he's brought a new drive to the team as well. So we've got a team of 6 coaches. And yeah, we're really looking forward to the season.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and especially with a new home as well in Burnham. It gives everyone, that place to go to go and watch the Chairgirls, because they had a great season last year as well.
Yeah, we did. We had a very good season. The under-18s won the Berks and Bucks Cup, and the reserves finished, I think we were second in their league, and the first. We had a lot of problems because of COVID, hangovers and things like that. So it wasn't a brilliant season for the first, but we stayed all the way through, and we've got a good platform for this year. And we've got some really new, exciting players joined us this year as well. So yeah, I would encourage everybody to come down to Burnham. Our first home game is on the 11th of September. And the entrance is just £3, and we're just literally launching at the moment a season ticket for all our home games. So to come to all our home games on Saturdays and Sundays will cost £25. So you can't say better than that, really.
No, you can't, definitely, and that's a really good thing as well, because it gives the Chairgirls even more of a platform as well for people to come and get their games. So if they want to find out more about the season tickets and also becoming a Chairgirl champion, how can they find out the details about that?
Go on to the Trust website. Top of the main page, there's a button that says Chairgirls. Click that and you'll get all the information about season tickets and becoming a Chairgirls champion. And yeah, Chairgirls champion costs you a little bit more. It's for somebody who's willing to put £500 behind the Chairgirls, all of which goes to pay for kit, for the training, for the coaches, and for the fees at Burnham. But for that, you'll get a really good deal. You get updated fixture lists emailed to you. You get weekly match reports emailed to you. You get a monthly newsletter from Carl, our head coach. You obviously get a season ticket included to all the women's games, and an invitation to a number of exclusive training days with experienced visiting coaches. So it's a nice little package if you want to sort of really get in there and support us. Yeah,
and as you said, after the Lionesses' success, let's support the real grassroots teams that was where it all starts for. So a massive good luck to the Chairgirls this season, and we'll keep you updated here on the Wycombe Wanderers Show and Wycombe Sound with their seasons, all 3 of the sides. Nigel, what would your your words to Chairboys fans for this upcoming season from the Trust be?
What would they? Sorry, Luke.
What would your message be to Chairboys fans for the rest of the season from the trust?
Message to Chairboys fans would be get behind the team. Definitely get behind the team. It's going to be an exciting season, and get yourself down to Adams Park as often as you can. If you're not a season ticket holder, come down every time you can and make sure there's a huge amount of noise. Because don't forget, we're going to be playing some big teams who are going to bring 1,800 fans into that away stand, and they're going to make a racket. And we need to make sure that we can outshout them and outsing them.
Perfect. Nigel, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the Wycombe Wanderers Show. I'm sure we'll hear from you as well on our Saturday shows throughout the season, and of course any other time on a Wycombe Wanderers show as well.
Thank you very much, Luke.
As we were talking about the Wycombe Wanderers Women, Luke Hashman earlier on this week caught up with Vice Captain of the Chairgirls, Cara Howes.
It is a step in the right direction. You know, when I was growing up, we didn't really have much women's football to look at and to see, and like to have role models now. You know, it's good. It's positive, and you can just see how the game's growing.
Absolutely. I think something that a lot of people have taken from it as well, even as spectators, is I've seen a lot of comment online about how nice it was for people to go to these matches and, you know, see alongside, you know, excellent football being played and thoroughly entertaining, but also the fact that it was a much more pleasant atmosphere, and, you know, there was none of the kind of negative side of things that sometimes people associate with football.
Yeah, exactly. You know, anybody could go and watch the game regardless. And like, I went to the Germany-Finland game at Stadium MK, and there was no nastiness, there was no like abuse or anything like that. Like, everybody within the crowd was there to just watch the game and watch the women's play. You know, it was good. Absolutely,
and I suppose, you know, you mentioned that there weren't really that many role models when you were growing up. So how significant do you think this is for the next generation of girls who are coming through? And you know, I was personally shocked by the statistics of saying how few girls have access to football in school. So do you think this will be a changing point for that?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, girls should be having more access to football at school. You know, I didn't really have much as a kid, and you know, it should grow now. You know, what we've seen with the Euros and everything. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I suppose, you know, you've got a relatively a decent following at Wycombe Wanderers, and do you think that might grow this year as well?
Yeah, we hope with the Euros and how the women's team have got on, that we just hope that more people will come and watch us, you know, at Burnham, and just see how we progress throughout the season and see how we get on. You know, the support would be amazing.
And I suppose it's about having people's, you know, a general awareness raised towards the enjoyment that you can get from watching women's football, and actually, you know, that builds, and that can also be a great momentum for the team as well.
Yeah, exactly. It gives us, like, having a crowd there, it gives you something else, you know. It gives you that energy boost that you might need within a game or something like that, just to hear like an applaud or something, just to say that you've done something good or something like that.
Absolutely. And people, you know, I often hear people say, oh, you know, it's like having an extra player on the field when you've got the crowd behind you. And Wycombe are obviously known for having a very loyal following as a club, so it's a case of wanting to carry that on, and actually, you know, it's not just about the men's team but also the women's team as well. Yeah, to just get behind us as well. Yeah, that would be good, like to have some of the, you know, the women's and men's supporters to come and watch our games. You know, it's still quite local, and, you know. Absolutely. And so, looking ahead to the new season, how a preparation's been going, and how are you feeling about the start of the new season? You know, it's very exciting. Sorry, we've had a new management come in. They've been amazing. They're working so hard to get everything back up and running from where we left off last season, and it's good to have Carl and Jamie and Dan aboard and just trying to progress, really. I mean, pre-season's been going really well. We've had loads of pre-season games. They've been challenging, but it's been good for us, and we're finally building as a squad to help us strengthen. But yeah, we're definitely looking forward to our first league game of the season against Winchester. Excellent. So that will be the first opportunity, I suppose, for fans who may have been listening to or following the Euros and seeing the stories that have come out of that to think, actually, now I want to apply this to a grassroots level and go and support my local side.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what would your message be to people who perhaps haven't yet dabbled in coming along to watch women's football? Just come and watch, basically, and it's exciting. It's different from the men's football, but in a very different way, and it's good to get people to come.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
It is part 3 of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Big thank you to Nigel Kingston for joining us to talk about the trust of the club and Wycombe Wanderers Women, and a big thank you to Cara Howells for talking to Luke Hashman earlier in the week. Good evening to Henry and to Russell, both listening. Send a message on social media. Good evening, hope you're doing well. Right, time to go back to today's press session from earlier on, where our brand new reporter, Craig Anderson, spoke to Daryl Horgan, which we'll hear in a minute, and Alfie Mawson as well. But first, he spoke to Gareth Ainsworth.
How would you sum up the first 3 games of the season? 1 win or 2 wins and 1 defeat. How would you kind of assess that so far?
Yeah, happy with where we are. We tried something at Bolton away, didn't pay off, and I've said after in the press, I'll take that one, no problem. Tactical, I'll take that. So the other games, really pleased with where we are. The 2 wins, back to a sort of a normal, solid shape, and we looked solid in both games. We look like very threatening going forward as well. So, no, pleased with where we are. I think there's 1 or 2 more to add for depth in the whole squad, but we've started the season okay. I think that was a tough game up at Bolton, and I think teams will find it very tough. I think they won 5-1 in midweek in the League Cups, just showing what a strong team they are. They've recruited really well this season. They've got plenty of money as well. They signed in January. They signed some real top players, and I think that's got them clicking well. We hope to be up and around it with Bolton at the end of the season, but early signs are saying that we are just where I thought we would be, probably 1 or 2 players short of a quality squad, and we're working on that before the end of the window.
There's been a weather warning of extreme heat for the next sort of few days till Sunday. Is there anything you're doing particularly to prepare, or any extra water breaks at the...
Not really. The lads are professional, they're hydrated. We're training a little bit earlier, I think, in the next 2 days, just to stay out that midday sun. We don't want to knock any of the strength out of the boys, but Saturday 3 o'clock, it's going to be 30 odd degrees, and it's going to be a scorcher, so we've got to get used to it. And again, sports science and medical side of things, now that's what they're coming to play. We're all about tactics in the football and selection, but we know it's going to be hot, but same for both teams, as they say, so we're going to prepare in the right way.
And last question for myself, after Northampton, did everyone come out okay? No any goals or injuries?
No, I think we're okay. I think we had a pretty fully fit squad, which is great. So great to see some of the young boys playing in natural positions and doing so well. So gives me plenty of headaches for team selections. Another tie in the Carabao Cup, and that's a big thing as well. Bristol City at home, it's going to be a nice tie for us as well. So big underdogs in that one, and looking forward to the next round. But good squad to pick from for Saturday now, and hopefully we can get the right result.
Craig talking to Gareth Ainsworth earlier on, and as we mentioned earlier throughout the day, that second round of the Carabao Cup with Bristol City is on the 24th of August. It's a Wednesday evening at Adams Park with kick-off at 7:45. Now, if there's one player that the Chairboys fans have been asking for most of the season so far, that is Alfie Mawson. Gareth Ainsworth had this announcement earlier on.
Yeah, we've managed to secure Alfie Mawson for a year. We're really pleased. Obviously, Alfie's was fantastic in his first spell here and went on to glorious things. I think on the bench for England at one stage, which is, and he always credits Wycombe as the place he enjoyed his football the most. He's had his fair share of knocks and injuries, and we're going to be very careful in managing him and getting the best out of him. But having Alfie Mawson back in the Wycombe squad for me is just brilliant, and we asked for patience with the signings, and I'm hoping that the fans jump on this one. We'll make sure we get him fit. We do that with players, and we'll get the best out of Alfie Mawson. I think as well as him, he's going to bring on the likes of, you know, Chris Farino and Jack Wakely, you know, as a fantastic mentor in that position. So I'm really pleased that Alfie's back, and hopefully we can, let's say, get some fantastic results with him in the team.
Must be really pleased to get him back, because when a lot of people talk about the uncovered gems you found during your time at Wycombe, Everett Shiezi is one that springs to mind, and also everyone talks about Alfie Mawson too. Yeah,
both have been in the England setup since making their debuts at Wycombe, you know, so we've got to be very proud of that. And let's say Alfie, the person he is just a well-rounded, grounded, humble guy who's been at the top, and we're really proud that he's come back. There's quite a few of these boomerang players, isn't there, that come back to Wycombe, and Alfie's definitely joining the list of fantastic talent that has, you know, gone on to brilliant things, but also come back and almost said his thank yous to Wycombe again, and we're really pleased and proud to have him. I think he's a fantastic defender at this level, and hopefully if we can keep him fit, we'll get the best out of him.
Sam Avery asking the questions there to Gareth Ainsworth on the news that Alfie Mawson is back. And here he is, talking to the press earlier on. Alfie Mawson is back being a Chairboys.
Alfie, welcome back to the club. Congratulations on re-signing. You must be eager to get going.
Yeah, really happy. It's been in the pipeline for a little while. Always in contact with the gaffer and Bloom especially, and Dobbo and that. So when the opportunity arose to come in and train, I said to the gaffer in the summer that if I did come in and train, I wouldn't really want to be then leaving. So it was a decision that as soon as I made it, you know, I stuck with it, and just happy to be back.
You made a real impression during your loan spell here 7-8 years ago. I guess you'll be looking to try and create those memories again.
Yeah, I hope so. I wish the body felt the same, I'll tell you that. Listen, I love my time here. I think it was a massive part of my career. It got me to where I never thought I would have been a few years later. So yeah, no, I'm so grateful now I can come back and then hopefully repay that trust that they put in me then, and that they've just put in me again.
And still familiar faces as well from your first spell. Gareth Ainsworth obviously still in charge. Matt Bloomfield now part of the coaching staff.
Yeah, it never changes here. Just a few little, few more players. The club's obviously got way bigger, so I'm happy to have come into like a project that's ongoing. Listen, I loved it. Like I said, the staff and that, everyone's the same. The players have improved, the quality's got better. But yeah, there's a big pull in coming back with the staff being the same. It was I know what I'm coming into. A good atmosphere with staff that just expect the minimal in terms of just want you to work hard and that, and everything else is a bonus. So like I said, I'm just happy to be back amongst it.
And finally, any aims this season for yourself in particular?
No. Like I said, I just want to come in, and I think it's different now. When I first came here, it was about trying to start to forge out a career and do as well as I could personally. But now I'm coming in, and with my experience, I want to help on the young lads, help them kick on. And example is Big Chris. I spoke to the gaffer about him. Tons and tons of potential come in. Wakely come in, and I want to come and enjoy working with them and see that hunger that I had when I was their age. And like I said, the main thing about coming back was to enjoy football again. It's been a while since I've actually enjoyed kicking football, so I know I'm going to do that here.
Alfie Mawson talking to the press earlier on today. Now, Daryl Horgan was part of the team that beat Northampton on Tuesday evening. Craig caught up with him at this morning's press session and spoke to him about his targets.
I don't really set targets. Obviously, I wasn't happy with goal return last season. But kind of like I said earlier, everyone's playing their own part in doing different things. Love to score more goals. I don't think there's a player on the planet who would say different. But look, the aim is promotion and surpassing how people think we're going to do. So we'll be all guns blazing for that.
And you just talked about it's been your birthday a couple of days ago, and there's a great number of younger players at Wycombe. Do you see yourself as like a mentor and a leader in the group now?
I suppose when you get older, you do have to kind of help young lads along a small bit. I don't go out of my way looking for to be considered a mentor or a leader or anything like that. I just want to help people along and do what I can. There's a lot of really, really talented young lads in that dressing room that have a bit to learn. And it takes time. We were all there at one stage, and we all needed that guiding hand every now and then. But they all played. A load of them played on Tuesday night, and I thought they were they were really good. Like I said earlier, you know, there wasn't too much kind of coaxing or pulling people around. They knew where they were, and you know, I think the second goal came from lads being in brilliant positions and then making brilliant runs. And the first goal came from, again, lads in good positions making good runs, you know. So these are young players with a lot of intelligence, and they just need a small bit of guidance here and there, but they're flying it.
Daryl Horgan talking to Craig at today's press session earlier on. A big thank you to Craig for being part of the press session for us this morning. Thank you to Phil for his wonderful match debrief, and Chelo as well, to Nigel and to Cara Howells. That is it for the Wycombe Wanderers show for this week. If you want some more Chairboys content ahead of Saturday's game, head to Wanderers TV. We'll be back on Saturday live from 12 in the car park, in live commentary of the game on Saturday from 3 up the Wick.